Sedition Act passed by Congress in 1918, treason, rebellion, sedition, and similar offenses, Title 18 of U.S. Code 18 U.S.C. Paragraph 2384 states, "It is a crime for two or more people within the jurisdiction of the United States to conspire or to overthrow the government of the United States or destroy by force or to a level of war against them, or to oppose by force the authority of the United States government, to prevent, hinder, or delay by force execution of any law of the United States, to take, seize, or possess by force any property of the United States."
This character, okay, they just hand me the story. Coup has started, Whistleblower's attorney said in 2017. You know when that was? That was a long time ago. It's all a hoax. They say January 2017, a coup has started, and the impeachment will follow. Ultimately, it's all a hoax. It's a scam, and you know who helps them? These people right back here, the media.
That's right. That was a quote he was reading from Mark Zai and Andrew Bakaj. Worked for the CIA. Both of them decided to go to law school, and now both of them represent the whistleblower. Interesting, he's really not a whistleblower, but just like in all communist dictatorships, they change the meaning of words all the time. Just like when they say if you're a nationalist, they are claiming now that means Nazi. When it doesn't, it just means love of country. You're a patriot. That's all it means. A lot of times when we hear someone gets arrested and we hear that they were a Honduran nationalist or Iranian nationalist or a Mexican nationalist, certainly the MSM isn't calling them Nazis. It just means that they are from a different nation. Doesn't mean Nazi, but communism always changes the meaning of words. So this is not a whistleblower. This was a plant that leaked information, and in fact distorted information, because I'm sure all of you know exactly what Trump said to the president of the Ukraine on that phone call. So a coup, let's see, this is quoting Mark Zayed. "Yes, I will double down. Yes, I was referring to a coup." When asked what he said in 2017, he wrote it in a tweet. And when you write a tweet, see, it's never erased. It's archived forever. You can never take it down. He was admitting to the fact that the decision was made to start a coup. And when you say the word coup, a coup doesn't mean our leader or our government is committing crimes. They're going against the Constitution. So we're going to lead a revolution to take them down. A coup is an illegal action. So he is, for no reason, just because you want to take the government down, or the president, prime minister, or monarch down. He's admitting to this. And he said a coup had started, and impeachment will follow ultimately. So the coup has started. The coup has started when Trump got inaugurated. So it doesn't, see, it's by any means, and the reason is not important. They're going to make up anything, go after anything. This quid pro quo, well, you know that presidents do that all the time. In fact, Bernie Sanders stood up and said, "When I'm president, I'm going to tell Israel that they're not going to get any money until they let go the Gaza Strip, because he wants Palestine, that to be Palestine, not Israel anymore. So that's a quid pro quo, and he is speaking it, and nobody bats an eyelash. Extortion, I would say that tape, I'm sure you've seen Biden laughing and joking, saying that he's not going to give the Ukraine the $5 billion until they fire the prosecutor who is investigating his son on corruption charges. You see, he was committing a crime, and Biden was shaking him down like a mobster. That's extortion. They can commit the crime. Remember this, the Democrats can commit the crime, whether you're a Hollywood Democrat or the media or a politician. You can commit a crime. It's just like an abusive relationship. You see, the abuser can change the rules, and that's what happens. The rules change all the time because Obama did things, yet he got away with everything. It was Obama that withheld the money from the Ukraine, not Trump. And the reason why is that, see, Ukraine, if they needed any help militarily, we would give them help. But he didn't want them to revolt or fire on Russia. So he just gave them water and blankets and things like that. But he withheld the money from the Ukraine. So he can do that. But Trump gave them what they asked for, money and armaments. He gave them what they asked for. Obama didn't want them firing on Russia. Why would he want that when Russia is so bad and Putin is so bad? Because they fixed the election, apparently, even though $30 million later, Mueller and his team of 13 that were all Obama and Hillary supporters found no evidence of collusion with Russia. So that didn't happen. So why is he even friends with Russia? Well, Hillary got $149 million dropped into the Clinton Foundation after she okayed the sale of 20% of our finite uranium supply. And at the same time, Bubba Bill got $500,000, supposedly for a speaking engagement, but it was really for his birthday. And then, of course, Obama was caught on the open mic. You tell Vlad that when I'm elected again, in my second term, he already knew he was going to get elected, I'll do for him what he's asking. Who's the friend of Putin? And even George W. Bush had a pet name for Putin. They loved each other. They were good buddies. He said, I knew he was a good man when I saw that cross hanging around his neck. I knew this was a good man. Yeah. So the previous administrations, also the Democrats in the 80s, loved Putin and Soviet Russia because they asked Putin, he was a member of the KGB, to interfere in our election so Reagan won't get elected again. So isn't that interesting? Who's the one? Who's the one in the pocket? And it's not just now. They've been in the pocket of Russia even when they were Soviet Russia. One thing I can say about John F. Kennedy, he was American. He was against communism. And he went into secret negotiations with the Soviet Union's leader to prevent nuclear disaster. every word that he spoke to Nikita Khrushchev, there was no transcription of those words. No one else was listening in. It was secret negotiations. And the Democrats certainly have no problem with that. But when Trump was on the phone with Zelensky, the president of the Ukraine, many people were on the line listening to every word, and every word was transcribed. I bet you didn't know that. That's how things work, but not for Trump. And even though he's got the evidence, you see, when you're in an abusive relationship, the abuser can commit the crime, and you can witness committing the crime. Or the abuser can change the rules from day to day. Or the abuser changes the meaning of words. Like, we're calling this guy who's a leaker in a plant by the Democrat Party a whistleblower, because a whistleblower has rings of goodness, telling the people that, yes, your government is corrupt. See the things that this person is doing. They're horrible. This president is just horrible. He's evil behind the scenes, and we're letting you know this. That's what a whistleblower does. But this is a leaker. In fact, he leaked lies, not the truth. He twisted everything Trump said. And then Schiff put on a play. And I say he used the little skit that was written by Owen Benjamin for the Steven Crowder, Louder with Crowder show about Trump and Kim Jong-un on the telephone together. He used that character and the way the character of Trump in that little skit interacted with Kim Jong-un. Now we know that this character, this Saeed character, who is in the deep state, and interesting, he is in intelligence. Remember, Schumer said, you go against intelligence, CIA, FBI, and they have 6 ways to Sunday to get back at you. And guess what happened? Both of these, Mark Zaid and Andrew Bakaj, both worked for the CIA, but then they got their law license, and now they are representing this whistleblower who's actually a leaker, who's actually a plant. And this is how the CIA and FBI getting back at Trump. But you see, that's any other person, any normal person going through this and constantly being accused of committing crimes, and we're going to putting fear into you. We're going to take you out of office. We're going to take your job. We're going to ruin your reputation. We're going to destroy your whole family's reputation. All of you are going to go to jail. Do you realize they're threatening to sue him even when he gets out of office? They're going to still try to put him in jail just because he won the election, because the Democrat Party promised in 2008 the presidency to Hillary Clinton, because they wanted Obama to get elected first and then have him break everything as he possibly can of this country, and then she'll come in and break the rest. She took a dive because Obama would have never gotten the nomination. He was not on the ballot in Michigan or Florida, which won't give him enough electoral votes for the nomination. So they gave him votes that he never got. They assumed he'd be getting a certain amount of votes. And so Hillary had to take a dive, but they promised 8 years later she would be president. Little did they know that Trump decided to run. So he's getting punished for this. Anyone else, it's also the rest of us, anyone else would have left the White House by now. They wouldn't be able to take it if it was anybody else. But this guy, this man, who who, not only when you build buildings, you have to grease the palms of politicians like Schumer and Pelosi, but you also have to work with the mafia. So he's tough, he's strong. He can endure this. And his son, Don Jr., said that they're not going to give up because this country is too important. They don't want to lose this country. And that's how I feel, even though I know that, I don't know if you've noticed that my subscribers, it goes from 968 to 962. And I know when it hits 972. When it hits 972, it goes back to 968 again. Then it gets some more, and they keep dropping down. But it's only between 4 points. It won't go any higher than 972. They keep unsubscribing people. This has been going on for about a year. And it's always the same numbers. Now, that isn't normal. That just isn't normal. That isn't the way it goes either. I'm really bad, and I'll lose a lot of subscribers. Or normally, I would just keep getting more subscribers. So, people who are speaking the truth, and thank you for watching, there's something very special about you. It's because you're like me. We don't listen to the MSM. We know that they're lying. And we seek out the truth. And you're seeking out the truth. So I will say things, and people will say to me, why? You just come out and say the truth. And I don't evade things, and I don't just, have an attitude, oh yes, everything's going to be all right, don't worry about it. I warn you. I say things I probably shouldn't say if I want to get any headway on YouTube. So I think it's more important to just tell the truth. Just say it like it is. And if I'm not on this platform anymore, find me on BitChute. So find me on BitChute. I'm on Minds too, but Minds and Gab don't seem to. I'm not really going anywhere there either. And I don't know what's going on with that. So, Zayed continued. He said starting at CNN will play a key role, and he will not finish his term as president. We will get rid of him. This country is strong enough to survive him and his supporters. Interesting. And then he went on to say that the people in the heartland of America are narrow-minded. See, they went out and voted for Trump. They're narrow-minded, and we're just awful people. They've made us into Nazis. They've made us into racists, horrible people, and stupid people who are not educated. They've completely demeaned not just Hillary's tirade before the human rights about us being deplorables, xenophobes, Islamophobes, homophobes. Throw them all in the basket of deplorables. But we're stupid. And we're not the type of people that they want in this country. They want to get rid of us. And in fact, it's people of the Heartland, our veterans, and white men, where the suicide is the highest. Because we feel we're being made to feel horrible about ourselves. And the only thing we want, guilty for committing no crime, but we just want to be free, raise our families. We're not even asking for a wealthy life. We just would like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and to be all men be judged equally. Except, you see, a coup, the definition of a coup, as I said, it's to bring down a country government by violent means. And they are using violent means. Antifa is using violent means against anyone they think who doesn't think like they do, whether they have proof or not. And after Trump was elected, white people were being pulled out of their cars, getting beaten up. And that poor boy who, in Chicago, who had mental disabilities, he was locked in for 3 days in a room, and they kept pulling his hair out and cutting his scalp and torturing him because he was white. Yet this man, because of his mental disabilities, can't vote, but they traumatized him. And Obama was our president, and he didn't come out and say, stop. Trump won the election. He's a duly elected president under our Constitution. He is your president. You accepted me. I won. He should have said first, I won by a white majority. I won by a white majority. Trump won this election. So the white people aren't racist. You can't blame all the white people for being racist. There are some, and there are some in all groups that are racist, but not all of them. But I owe a debt to the white people of America for overwhelmingly coming out and for voting for me twice for president. So don't get angry when you see a white person. But he didn't do that, unfortunately. And the interesting thing that he mentions that he's going to be working with CNN, and isn't it CNN and of course the New York Times and WAPO and MSNBC and the other networks, all the MSM. They've been working very hard to put out lies, and CNN is the top liar of them all. And the interesting thing about CNN is that it's in every airport all over the world. So people all over the world have to watch, they're waiting for their plane, they have to watch CNN. People from countries all over the world think that this is a racist nation, that Trump is a Nazi. The word nationalist no longer means patriot, but it means Nazi. People are being told lies about Trump and about us. They're dragging us through the mud all over the world. We have a word today, kids. The word is sedition. Can you say sedition? That's what this is. This is sedition. And we're the ones. We're the ones who are the enemy. The definition of sedition: conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or monarch. Don't you think that the MSM, pumping out all these lies, making people all over the world hate us, that's inciting people to rebel against Trump and us? We're the enemy. That's sedition. This is our word for today, kids. Sedition. Remember it. Now, this isn't the first, sedition. Before we go on, we have laws that Congress passed in 1918 against sedition, which means they're committing treason by violent acts because they're inciting people to violence and inciting people to create fake hate crimes because the Trump supporters aren't doing the hate crimes. If there are, it's a very small amount. But you see, you heard little saying, the lie goes around the world before the truth gets its pants on. So you hear about the hate crimes, and then you don't hear, the MSM never lets out the fact that it's a fake hate crime. It's somebody like somebody who's in a synagogue or a church that is African American, and someone working in those places draws swastikas or racist or symbols all over the place, and they blame it on Trump supporters. All sorts of crimes like this. There's a whole list of them, and it's on the internet. We're not damning these people in these churches or synagogues. It's one person that might be a little crazy that decides to create its power and control, the need for power and attention, that they are the ones who is the valiant to take down Trump and all his supporters and to paint a horror, because Obama is still running things. He's got that big house in Washington, D.C., and when he bought it, that's what he said, I'm going to stay in D.C. and I'm going to oversee everything. And he has a bunch of people working for him and groups all over the country, which Soros is funneling money to create violence and lies and swaying the public against Trump and his supporters. It's very well organized, and he hasn't technically left office. They're getting their marching orders, so to speak, from Obama. And wasn't it wonderful when the other day when Michelle was on TV and she was being interviewed, and she said that she was talking about white flight, how when they moved into a neighborhood, the white people left. And that's really interesting because none of the neighborhoods that they've moved into has anyone left. And they just bought a $15 million house on Martha's Vineyard. And it's 90% white. And nobody's leaving. So that's not true. She's still crying victimhood, even though somehow they've got 5 houses that are all approximately $10 to $15 million each, including one on Hawaii. Yet she's still the victim, and her book is selling like crazy. But she's still the victim. I mean, there are African Americans who I would say were victims and poor. Not these people. I don't think they are. I went to a restaurant, and it was run by Native Americans. And when asked who was the president that they considered the worst and the best, they said that the worst was Abraham Lincoln and the best was Richard Nixon. I've mentioned this before. Why is that? Well, because Abraham Lincoln hung 7 Sioux chiefs who didn't want to give up their land. And Richard Nixon, also a Republican, he went to every single Native American nation and asked them where their land was and gave them back as much land as he possibly could because he was a devout Quaker. Now, he left office. He wasn't impeached. He just left office. Apparently, there was 13 minutes worth of tape that was missing. We don't know what was on the tape. And I kind of wonder, was this man really corrupt? Or did he take the fall for someone else? Maybe that 13 minutes of tape might have been something that would have put someone else in jail. I kind of wonder. I kind of wonder what went on there. But anyway, Lincoln, as it turns out, he was very tyrannical. And he closed down newspapers and put people in jail for speaking against his administration. He had his own private police squad that would do it. And he had all the telegraph wires going through the White House. Now we have the NSA, which records everything we do and say. He took control over all the newspapers, closed them, and had all the information that was going through the telegraph wires. He even censored U.S. mail and prevented all journalists from reporting on the war. He put in jail Maryland's entire legislative branch to prevent Maryland from seceding from the Union. The way he got voted into office was he had all the newspapers, which was in New York City, which was the hub of the media, in his back pocket. They helped him, ushered him into the White House, which is interesting, because can we think of someone recently that had all the media, and say all Hollywood, all academia, in his back pocket? They all loved him and would never print a bad word about him. Quashed certain news. He censored negative news about him and only said the good stuff. And then it wasn't until afterwards that some things came out, but I knew all this bad stuff about him and his leanings, and that he wanted to turn this country into a banana republic. I knew it before he got elected, because I was reading and listening to the right sources, and it all panned out. It was all true. Not one word was propaganda, but it is the media and the head of CNN that has been putting out this propaganda about Trump, who is simply trying to save this nation before it goes under, before it gets taken over by globalism, by worldwide communism. That's what's going on. That's why I'm always pushing this. It's behind, it underlies everything. A party, the Democrat Party, wants one-party rule. They want those borders open. Trump wants them closed. And it was a little while ago, not that long ago, I'd mentioned about the headless bodies. These drug cartels would film decapitations and leave the headless bodies in 2008 all over the border. Just how bad and scary those drug cartels actually are. And then after that, Al-Qaeda and ISIS started filming decapitations. So you wonder who had the idea first. Did they get the idea from them? But also there's sex trafficking, sex slavery, human trafficking, and about $160 billion worth of drugs being sold to the American public. That's killing us at about 80,000 or more a year in overdoses. And nearly all women, according to Doctors Without Borders, which is, they're non-political, most women get raped as they're crossing the border. See, the drug mules bring them to the border and they rape them. And little children that are recycled, their parents send them up with Plan B, which is the abortion pill, or it prevents you from being pregnant, is technically what it does, because they know they're going to get raped, but these children are being recycled. People who are bringing them in are not their parents. Either they're kidnapped or they pay the parents so they can get over the border. See, that's one thing Obama did. See, that's where an abuser can do something and the person they're abusing can't. Obama created those cages. Nobody said a word. And Trump is being blamed for it because they found that these children were not the children of the people that were bringing them in. They were just using them. See, so Obama can do that. And Melania Trump was in Boston a few days ago and to visit the children's wing. And the doctors and nurses, highly educated people, were screaming at her and bullying her because of the children in cages at the border, as if it was her husband's fault. Yet all these people clearly voted for Obama and voted for Hillary. And it doesn't matter that they're highly educated. They're doctors and nurses, medical staff, people that we go to when we need help. And these people they're not getting their news from the right source. Not only that, they're listening to the wrong news. They're listening to lies. They're so educated. The only thing they can do is listen to lies, but they're full of hatred. And don't they know that Melania has nothing to... Even if Trump did build those cages, it still has nothing to do with her. And she was there to see how the children were doing. The children that need serious medical care. She was there to be a voice for them and to ease their suffering in some way. This has permeated the most intelligent among us, those who we entrust our medical care with, are crazy too. This is very scary. This is why CNN, which this Zaid, who worked for the CIA, which it's been scrubbed from the internet, by the way. They scrubbed Bakaj and Zaid's affiliation with the CIA from the internet. So you don't know that. So they are getting back at Trump, just like Schumer said. Lincoln had all these journalists, newspapers, shut them down. People thrown in, including the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, was thrown in jail. And Obama indicted and accused more journalists of espionage than all the presidents combined. So Lincoln and Obama do have something in common, except Lincoln supposedly at the end of the war freed the slaves, but Obama, because he took all our troops out of Iraq, granted, we broke it, we bought it, and Bush left troops there to keep it stable. He took all the troops out and left all the SUVs, all the ammunitions, all the protective vests. And ISIS came in and took it over. And then they took over Libya. And we took part in the death of Gaddafi. And because of that, Libya being taken down, secular nation as well, and where women could go to college and drive cars, because of the policies of Obama and Hillary, and I'd love Tulsi to say once Obama's policy, because he was the guy in charge. It doesn't matter what Hillary wanted. You have to stop blaming Hillary for this, because it's Obama's policies. He's the one who gives the okay. And Benghazi was taken down because there wasn't enough protection. And there were 685 telegrams sent to the State Department that were ignored. But Obama went off that night, when it happened, the day that it happened, to a $35,000 plate dinner, campaign contributions. And they just blamed Pence for a $5,000 a ticket event to raise money for the campaign. But you see, Obama can do whatever he wants. So Lincoln, aside from being tyrannical and locking up or shutting down newspapers and listening to everything that everyone said and having secret police, anyone who was against the war was thrown in jail. Even a congressman was thrown in jail for that. At least the slaves were free at the end of the war. Obama, who is of African descent on his father's side, is responsible for putting Africans in cages and being sold on auction blocks. Isn't that interesting? And so the medical professional on Mass General Hospital, it's Mass General, one of the best hospitals in the country, by the way, the best doctors and nurses anywhere is at Mass General. We're yelling at Melania for children being they're really not cages, it's a separation that they can see through. It's like a chain link fence. They're in this portion, and then the adults are in another. They're not in little cages. It's just walled off because these people aren't their parents. Until we find out, yes, these people are their parents, then of course they're reunited, but they're not in prisons, and they're getting food, and they're getting medical care, and toys, and clothes, and they're bathed every day. Even though we don't have the manpower for this, and Congress didn't vote for more funding for this, but they'll complain about it. It's not like you put a dog in a cage or an animal. It's just a separation. Until you see it, do you know what it actually is and how the children are really being treated? This is actually saving these children's lives and preventing them from being recycled, sent back to their parents, and their parents send them with someone else that pays the parents, and eventually the child will get killed or sold into sex trafficking. Separating them is actually saving their lives. So that was Obama's idea, and it was a good idea. But no one is saying, when you see these sub-Saharan African people in actual bars like prisons in small compartments and being auctioned off on the auction block by ISIS. And it's because of Obama taking the troops out of Iraq. And our hand, the Obama administration's hand, in taking down Gaddafi by the hand of our first African-American president. So we must fight and be strong, like Trump and his children, who believe that this country is worth it. This is the beacon of freedom in the world. America falls, there's no place to run if this place falls, because the entire world will be communistic. We have to live. We have to survive. Those of you out there who are losing hope because you feel you're evil because they tell you you're evil because you're white, have hope. You have brothers and sisters who are on your side, who are going to vote Trump back into office. We're going to do our best. But even if he doesn't get back in office, you still have a long-distance friend, people who believe in you and want you to live. So don't commit suicide, please. Survive and stay strong in this fight, that we may return this country to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, the right of free speech, the right to protect ourselves, and equal justice under the law. One day, that will come back, because that's good for everyone. People for and against Trump, even the people against Trump. This is what Trump is fighting for, and what we are fighting for. This is good for everyone. See, this harms none. So stay strong. Stay strong. Don't commit suicide. You have a friend. You have a friend in Felina, and you have a friend, anyone who supports Trump. And the people who don't support Trump, I wish their eyes would be open. I wish they would know what the truth is, and that they're getting propaganda spewed at them 24 hours a day. They don't know the truth. They don't know that they need to look at different sources to know what the truth is. Because if Trump had one iota of any of racism, anti-Semitism, one iota, homophobia, any of those things, I would not vote for him. I know that he's clean of all that, and he's only fighting for the good of this country. He's fighting for you, and thank God that we have him, because I think he's the only one who'd be able to do this, because if Hillary got in, she would just finish breaking everything Obama broke. I think of like a child when a child is angry and they have their crayons and pencils and they break them all into pieces. Obama tried to do that as fast as he could, but he couldn't finish breaking all those pieces. He wanted Hillary to get in. The globalists want that, so she can finish breaking them all. Good night.